Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about Half-Life 2 and some of my personal experiences with Half-Life 2. You know, kind of like the Garry's Mod video I just made. What makes Half-Life 2 such a great game? Now, obviously, Half-Life 1 was a great game when it came out as well, and for the time, I wasn't even alive. For the time it came out, it would have been groundbreaking back then. New features that had never been heard of before, new settings, new everything. The graphics would have been good for back then. Half-Life 2, on the other hand, was a direct improvement from what games we already had. The single player campaign felt quite fluid. It went together quite well. The AI interacted and spoke like you. It made me think they were real people. It's like, wow, this is done so well. The graphics, yeah, while it's not what you would expect from a AAA game this year or next year, it certainly holds up. And because it's not the best graphics in the world, although it is extremely good in my opinion, you don't have to have the best computer rig to run it, which means you can run games like Garry's Mod, Counter-Strike Source, and Half-Life 2. Other Half-Life 2s are good as well. Yeah, the engine's seen some upgrades, and there's Source 2 coming that I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I'm waiting. Now, onto Half-Life 2's, again, the campaign. The Combine were a unique challenge to me. I remember when I first faced them at this point. I'd already played it the first time, but there's a second time. It always felt like the enemies were in a different area. They spawned in the same place, but they always seem to run and shoot from different areas. They always seem to surprise me. Yeah, it's like the fourth time I've played through the game, and the fourth time being a YouTube playthrough. They always seem to slightly play differently, which is a really good thing for a game, because if you decide to replay it, it's not the same. Now we're onto the HUD, the heads-up display. That's what you see that tells you your health and ammo. It's not cluttering. It doesn't clutter up the screen with useless information. It doesn't allow you to spot people so you can see them through walls. You have to think logically. You have to think they were walking in this direction, which means they'll come out of here. The game won't tell you what they were doing. You figure that out yourself. There is no map. I mean, there was technically a map in the campaign. You get shown a map sometimes. But what made the game so brilliant is that it didn't hold your hand. You were thrown into this environment and left with cutscenes, dialogue, and using them you could figure out what the story was about. It just left you, and that's what I love. Figuring things out in a game is truly what I think makes a really good game. Yes, it's fun, Far Cry 4, where you can see enemies through the walls when you spot them, but it's not natural. It's so much better to have a game that actually leaves you in an environment that you have to figure out how to survive on your own. Having soldiers that could be anywhere because you can't spot them is a really good experience. I loved the game, and I still do, and I think it holds up to today's standards. I think it's better than a lot of games that have been released recently in terms of campaign. There is no multiplayer for the original Half-Life 2, but you could fix that with a mod like Synergy, which allows you to play the Half-Life 2 campaign and other campaigns and other games with another person. It's really good. It might break the game a little because it wasn't meant for like two people, but usually it's okay. Now we're on to the gunplay. I feel like the gunplay wasn't so easy. You can't aim down sights in that game. And I feel like that can be a good and bad thing. People want to aim down sights, right? But then it kind of feels that it makes it unique to not be able to. It's kind of the Valve thing to not be able to aim with anything but a sniper rifle or the crossbow in this case. The gunplay always felt like it wasn't so easy that you could grab an SMG and shoot across the map and kill someone. It was inaccurate enough to be realistic. The AR-2 was a brilliant gun. I loved it. But the thing that was really unique about it was the gravity gun, obviously. The gravity gun was something that I don't think had ever been done properly before. And it was introduced into a game that had basically a really, really fantastic physics engine. So the grav gun made sense because it had physics puzzles. I liked the shotgun because the shotgun actually in Half-Life 2 resembles what a real-life shotgun would be like. Not really accurately, but in game-wise it's actually a pretty accurate shotgun. So, when people say your shotgun won't work beyond that, so in games it will work a lot less than it would in real life to make it more balanced. But the Half-Life 2 shotgun is a beast. I love it. It's my favourite gun in the entire game, apart from the grav gun and maybe the 357 Magnum. Now, the gunplay always feels a little bit different. Sometimes you have no ammo for any guns but your grav gun, and all you can do is pick up a thing and throw it at someone, and that's fun. That's so fun to do that. To know that you could run out of ammo and use your surroundings to kill your enemy. There are explosive barrels. You could save ammo if you ignite the barrel and let it explode. It will kill anyone in the area. You know? You don't have to use your bullets to kill them, you can use the environment to kill them. You know, I feel the gunplay was nailed really well in it. There are some improvements and things that maybe should have been toned up a little bit, but I feel like, in my personal opinion, the gunplay was good. It was brilliant for the time, and it still is brilliant now. Aiming down sights would be nice, but, you know, it's kind of overused, and sometimes it's nice to have a break from being able to really accurately aim down your sights. The graphics in the game was groundbreaking back then. It was something that, it looked, basically, it was like photorealistic. It's not going to look like it would in a 4K photo today, but they kind of can replicate a an environment in real life into a game and make it as believable as possible. That's what photorealism is in a nutshell. It's a lot more complex, but that's how I see it. So it was all photorealistic back then. It looked brilliant. And, you know, graphics-wise, the graphics speaks for itself, so I don't have to say much. You know, audio design was great as well. Again, speaks for itself. What about map layout? I think the maps were laid out quite well. Again, there was nothing to tell you where to go. You figured that out. The NPCs will say, come here, and kind of that will give you a description. Just follow the roads. It's easy to get lost in the game, and I've been lost so many times, and I've had to restart recordings because 15 minutes of the recording was me trying to find my way out. For someone that's played the game a lot, I'm pretty bad at it. I'm not gonna lie. But you know, the map layouts were good. It was unique. It didn't tell you you have to go this way, 50 meters this way. I'll give you the exact path and take all the fun out of it. You find stuff, and because it doesn't tell you where to go, you can find Easter eggs and secrets and supply rooms and stuff, because it doesn't tell you to skip everything and just go to the objective marker. There is no objective marker, and that is what made it such a damn good game. Dialogue was believable. I liked it. NPCs were excellent in the game. Everything about it is like a 10 out of 10, in my opinion. It's my favourite game ever to be released. Now we're on to the newer games, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and 2, and yeah, they weren't as groundbreaking though, because the graphics and all that had already been done in Half-Life 2. There were no really big new features. There were new enemies. All they did in the newer Half-Life 2 1 and Episode 1 and 2 graphically was, well, knock up the graphics, and you know, the engine was pretty much the same from that point. But the Half-Life 2 sequel, you know, Half-Life 3 probably won't happen, but if it does, you can expect it to have a really groundbreaking feature. There are so many people that want it that it has to be worth the time, which means it has to be really damn good. Now, that's what I think makes Half-Life 2 great. It's a really well-built, well-thought structure. The story fits together, the map layouts are great, the gunplay is fun, the NPCs and AI in the game are really good, and the dialogue and all that is believable. So it all comes together to make a brilliant game. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.